This is job number 19263. Project name Morning Run Apartments in Monroe, Washington. Doing this bid for a friend that I know with True North Construction Management. The scope of work is within this whole property. The scope of work is asphalt, curb repair, crack fill, seal coat, and striping. As far as staging on this job, you will see on this map that I am parked down in this area right here, and just outside the property there's staging for our equipment, parallel parking, pretty open, which here's the property, here's parking right outside the property. This job site also has parallel parking right in front of the property. There's two entrances. Actually, there's three entrances. One entrance here, one entrance down there, and one to the south, and that's where we'll start with quantities. And as you can see on this map, I'm standing here, but there's three entrances to the property. 1, 2, and 3. Starting with the south section, I started my asphalt count. Numbers 1 through, it looks like 28. The conditions in this development are pretty poor. So this is budgetary numbers to pre-qualify as a vendor for True North. The actual work will begin in 2019 in the summer. I've worked with this guy before, so he's hoping to work with Rainier Asphalt and Concrete. So hopefully we get these quantities right and everything looks good for budgetary numbers this year, and then it'll go out to bid against 2 other bidders in 2019. The instructions were to measure almost 90 to 100% of the drive aisles in the whole property, but starting out at the entrance on the south end, which is number 1 on the site map. And a majority of the numbers that I measured up after that go down the middle drive aisle. Instead of doing crack fill, they wanted us to estimate high on replacing the whole center of the drive aisles. Also in the quote, all the speed bumps, there's 13 total, they're going to want to have us rip them out and put them back in. Each speed bump is 22 feet by 2 feet wide. In some of my quantities, as I will send you a separate email with quantities, there'll be asphalt repairs with tree root damage. That's one example. And as you get down into number 4 on the map, this is tree root damage plus asphalt repair in this location and in this location. Some areas look this wide in the drive aisle, but some narrow down. So my instructions were to measure wider than that and catch down the middle drive aisle. I have some quantities given that I labeled as asphalt repair under pathways. I think it was asphalt path. A majority of the areas are approximately 2 inches thick on remove and replace. It's another example of some tree root damage. I caught a lot of these throughout the property and labeled them accordingly. Another example going down the back end, which that back end would be right along this whole back stretch. You'll see as an example, number 10 and number 11, there are some long stretches. 11, the whole corner, which we'll walk down to in a minute. More examples of tree root damage near the planters. I also counted probably half a dozen areas where there's tree root damage underneath these carports. There's carports all along this property, and typically there's 2 to 3 stalls that have tree root damage, or it's damage from something else, but ironically it's under a lot of carports. Under note number 6 on the site map for asphalt repair, this could be simply fixed with some crack fill, but the instructions I was given was to go ahead and account for this long stretch as asphalt repair. As you can see, some of the work's been done before. I wanted to duplicate that on the crack filling. That could be done, but they wanted, like I said, asphalt repair. So we're gonna match that, go all the way down. Under note number 10, you can see that I accounted for the whole drive aisle. But along the drive aisle, you have some areas that are worse than others. It's about a 2-foot wide pothole there. Continues on. They wanted me to measure the whole length down to the corner. Note number 11, they wanted to take this whole section out on the corner. So I measured up 2 measurements to cover this whole corner. Here's another example of some tree root damage underneath the carports. Typically 2 to 3 stalls get damaged. I counted for those. For seal coating, you'll see a lot of this throughout the parking lot. A lot of dirt and debris has drained down from the curbs, from the landscaping. I would say probably 50% of this lot needs to be power washed. I take that back. I think a lot of it could be done with a Snuffy. I don't think there'd need to be too much power washing, but if we were to throw some power washing in there, I would say there would be a day of power washing along the parking stalls up around the perimeter. Here's an example of another area that I measured for asphalt repair where there's tree root damage along the pathways, all asphalt. This is what you'll see throughout the parking lot. Loose debris, leaves, light dirt that you'll see on the parking lots. It's not extremely dirty. That's why I think that there's not a ton of power washing to do, and I think a lot of it could be done with a Snuffy. There's oil spot repair. I would assume 10 gallons of oil spot primer to be thrown in the bid. Power washing, a day's worth of power washing. The Snuffy along all planters, along all curb edges. Condition of this asphalt, if you were to say a 1 through 5, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst, I would say this lot's probably about a 3. once the asphalt repairs are done, it'll definitely improve the parking lot. For measuring seal coat, you'll be able to use an aerial map, which I will provide, but I will also provide this site map so you can see the parameters. Curb quantities for curb repair. They didn't have me measure up to the T, but said to throw in 500 feet of curb repair throughout the development. It's going to be a lot of planters, a lot of tie-in work, handwork to be done. 500 feet to remove and replace. There might be more later when they get into 2019 and walk the site again. Stall striping. Visitor stencils are 8-inch. ADAs, blue background with white border. White crosshatch. There are 380 parking stalls in this development. 12-inch stall numbering throughout the whole development, 1 through 380. There are also reserve stencils. Paint colors are white and blue. I will send you a separate email with all quantities for striping, curbing. On crack fill, you'll be able to measure all drive aisles throughout the development and take that length, multiply it by 2. That should cover you for crack fill. Because parking is limited, I would say this job will probably have to be phased in 2 to 3 phases because of the limited parking out in the street. Any other questions? I'm sure you will call me. Thanks.